Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to DC Superheroes United, the Batman Hush core box set. So this is video part 2. If you didn't check out part 1, we went over the basic how to play the game, the rules, looked at the overview of all the cards. In this video, we are going to actually take a look at each of the heroes' decks, their equipment, the villains' decks, their master plan decks, as well as what their oversized cards can do, their dashboards, and then look at the superhero, supervillain, cards and the solo mode cards. But yeah, if you didn't watch the first video, I'm just going to reiterate this. This game is 100% compatible with any of the Marvel United stuff. This is the only thing I'm going to mention in this, or try to at least mention, comparing it to Marvel. I will do a separate video where I compare Marvel and DC if you kind of want to see a little bit of a difference or what's different. But all the mechanics are the same. Villains work the same. Heroes work the same. Basically what this did was it took advantage of Marvel having 3 years of games out. And it took all that stuff that, like, equipment cards that didn't show up till year 3. Dual heroes which didn't show up till year 2. Starting cards and stuff, like some of the stuff that showed up after the first year of Marvel, they're able to incorporate in this game. And then they made a few extra adjustments to the game, just because they're like, hey, we've had 3 years under our belt of making this. Here's some other things we could do to make the game a little bit more player-friendly. I'll say it that way. So yeah, and they took all kind of an interesting idea of that. So, let's hopefully all talk about Marvel. The second thing is, this is also the Batman Hush core set. There's another Just DC Superheroes United core set that will be coming out as well, which has more Justice League characters: Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Flash, Cyborg. I think there's 6 characters in there. I think you get 6 in here, where you only get 5 in this set technically. But yeah, so if you buy both core sets, you're going to get different sets of characters. The only components will, for the most part, crossover will be like your token sheets and your basic stuff, like some of the villain cards and superhero cards, like the multiplayer mode stuff, might cross over the same, but all the heroes and villains will be completely different. Although, again, some of like the equipment, like Batman's equipment on one to the other, they might be the same equipment, but they're for 2 different Batmen, so they work a little bit differently. And also to note is there's also like versions of the characters in here that are different than this one. So there's a Batman in this set, there's a Batman in that set, there's, I think, a Batman in another set. They're all different Batmans. There's a Robin in this set, but this is Tim Drake Robin. There's also Dick Grayson Robin and your Damian Wayne one. There's a different Catwoman, one that's regular, a dual hero. There's a Superman here that's a dual hero, but there's also a dual identity, I guess. There's also a regular Superman. The Joker and Harley Quinn are different here as well. The only 2 characters in here that are 100% not available at all in any form anywhere else are Hush, one of the main villains, and the Huntress. Otherwise, all the other ones, you can get a version of a character somewhere else. But you can still collect them all. You can even have 3 Batman now if you have all 3 Batman. Nothing going to stop you from doing that. Alright, so I'm not going to go over the rules or anything. I did that in the first video. Let's take a look at the components. We have our dashboard. I'm just going to kind of fly through some of the basic stuff. We have all our different tokens. We do have a Poison Ivy token, which will be linked to our Superman character later. And then we have all our civilian health points. And on the back side, of course, are all our civilians. Sorry, these are all the thugs. We have all those. I want to hop in and get right into the characters here, but we do have our 3 things. Our 2 challenges are just say remove your wild cards, so nothing extra special there. And then we do have 1 cube tracker, which I do not believe is used in this game for any of the villains, but it's probably there in case you have a villain in an expansion that uses one. Then they don't have to make sure they included one in there. Let's go ahead and look at our characters. So we're going to start off with a Batman. Alright. So here's the Batman. Now this is listed as Batman Classic versus more of a modern Batman. So here's his miniature. I do not, unfortunately, have my stand here to hold them, so I have to hold them with my hand. But yeah, it's a really cool version of him. He's on the bat signal. He's got his cape in his hand. You know, even for being like a little chibi models, and that kind of throws some people off. They're like, oh, I don't like the chibi look of these characters. I think they do a great job of representing them. They didn't make them look goofy or ill proportioned. They're just, you know, a little bit bigger, bulkier characters. But yes, this is definitely a cool version of Batman to play as. So what does Batman get to do for us? So he's going to have his basic cards here. I'll find them. He has a move heroic, an attack, a move and attack, his one wild, his double wild, and then he has a bunch of abilities cards. So he has weighing resources. Give one wild token from the pool to any hero, and then you can move in heroic. His bat gadgets. Recharge up to 2 of your equipment cards at the end of your turn, or gain 1 wild token. And again, the or is kind of on there in case you decide not to use equipment, then this card's not completely useless. Having a wild token is definitely not a bad thing, because then it just gives you any option whenever you need it. He has, you can't escape from the Batman that easy. Of course, it's more like a not a classic Batman. End of your turn, villains. Next villain's turn, villains and henchmen in your location can't leave it. This is kind of neat, because it holds them in place, that way you can do an extra attack on them. This could be very vital to winning. We have Formidable Fighter. Defeat all thugs in your location. If, hey, you can move them to a spot that has a ton of thugs and just eliminate them, awesome. And then he has some villains. Now, this is one thing that's new versus the Marvel versions. And I just want to say that, is they have little icons on. Now, they had abilities before, but this one specifically added the iconography to it, so that way you can easily see that this had an ability. So this has mentoring. It says, excuse me, if Robin is about to be KO'd during a villain turn, flip this card to avoid Robin discarding his last card. So, really cool if you're always playing with a Robin. There are, throughout the entire set of all the DC United stuff that will be released between all the expansions and stretch goal Kickstarter stuff, there is, it might have been on Game Found at this point, there's 3 different Robins. So there's, again, Tim Drake, which is in this set. You can get Damian Wayne and Dick Grayson at one point. So yeah, you have potential different ones you can swap in and out with that, so that's pretty cool. But otherwise, this is just an attack card. And then the last one is Detective Skills. During any of your turns, flip this card, go to the top card of your master plan deck, and they put it at the bottom. So this can be very helpful if you know it's like, oh, they're going to trigger and it's going to have a BAM, and we can't afford hitting a BAM this turn. Or he's going to move, you know, wherever the villain moves, he does damage to whoever's in that space. He's going to move and take someone else. You could opt to skip that. Yeah, so I could definitely mess some stuff up there as well. Cool. Now we have his equipment cards. So if you decide to play with equipment, which is 100% optional, you just have to remove your double wild card, equip up to 3 of them. Batman gets 6 different cards to start with, so you have to pick from them, which is kind of fun. Just some options there. And these are for classic Batman. Now, is there anything, just to point this out, is there anything that's going to prevent you from using any equipment card with any other character? Generally, no. There might be some that specifically refer to a card in that character's deck. So it might be like, play this card, and it might say, find this character's special item, like Wonder Woman, it could say, find her lasso of truth, or something like that. So therefore, that wouldn't help out any character that's not Wonder Woman. But could you give these any other character if you really opt to? It's your game, you can do whatever you want. Like, obviously, if you're some reason playing this at a tournament, you know, or whatever, or maybe you're playing with other people that aren't in your normal play group, definitely ask to make sure they're not going to have a problem with that, but, you know. So here's a battery. It says, use on your turn, attacking adjacent location, then turn this card face down. So you just get a free hit somewhere else. Could take out a villain, could take out a henchman, could take out one of the thugs that you needed to. And you'll flip it over for recharge. At the beginning of your turn, discard 1 action token to turn this face up. We have his grapnel. So I never knew it was grapnel. I always thought it was a grapple. Like a grapple hook. Interesting. move on your turn. On your turn, move one thug or civilian from an adjacent location or location, then turn their space down. So either pull a civilian to rescue them, or pull a thug to go and punch him. Again, you can stop overflows, which can be super helpful. On this one, it says, recharge at the end of your turn. If you play a hero card with no move at the bottom, turn this card face up. Once per game, you may do it by simply saying it loud, because I'm Batman. That's kind of fun, right? At some point, just like, it's kind of neat. It's a neat mechanic too, thematically, right? So it's like, if I don't move, I can spend a turn refilling my grapnel launcher, or just like, whatever, I'm Batman. I have what I need. Leave me alone. We have cape wings. On your turn, move, then turn the space down. So extra movement for Batman is never a bad thing. Beginning your turn, discard one action token to turn the space up. He's got his armored gauntlets, little blades on his thing. Use on a villain turn, ignore 1 damage dealt to any hero in your location, then turn their face down, which is very, very protective. At the beginning of your turn, discard 1 action and turn the space up. Lie detector. Use on your turn, flip up to 2 civilians or thugs in your location, then turn their space down. So this basically is going to turn a civilian into a thug, or a thug into a civilian. Which could be very helpful. Like, he has this one card that defeats all thugs. Go and turn all civilians over. Boom, you can take out potentially more thugs that way, quicker. Or if you have a bunch of heroic actions, you can turn the thugs over instead of the attacking. Gets you some different options. Then he has recharge at the beginning of your turn, discard to turn the space up. And then his last one is the antidote. Use on your turn at the end of any villain turn. Any hero in your location discards all their crisis tokens and then turn your space down. So now this is going to be one that you're going to want to look at your villain before you choose, because not every villain uses crisis tokens. So if you put this in your lineup and you don't have any crisis tokens, it's completely useless. But it is a very helpful card. Recharge at the beginning, discard a token. So very cool. There's Batman. Alright, then we have Robin. We have Robin number 2. Actually, technically Robin number 3. Tim Drake. We don't have Jason Todd Robin, I don't believe. Which that would have been kind of cool as well. But, so then here's our Robin. He's perched up on top of the gargoyle. So, of course, Tim Drake is the Robin, probably most notably known for either one of 2 things, I would say. Either one, he's usually the, one of the newer generation of Teen Titans. With, like, Superboy, Wonder Girl, all those, some of those guys. I mean, there's the original classic ones with, like, Starfire and Cyborg and stuff. The, like, older generation, that was, of course, Tim Drake. But then there's a new one. Did Batman have... I did forget to mention this. Batman has a starting hand card. So he gets to start with his Bat gadgets in his deck. So it starts on the top of your deck, so you just start with that. Not every character has a starting card. I just forgot to mention he had one. I'd say the other thing he's also known for is he was the Robin that found out who Batman was. And he had enough detective skills to figure out who Batman was, which is why he was able to become his protege. So here we have good old Timmy Drake. He's got heroic, move heroic on his Robin cycle. I'm going to try and look at the non-special ones first. An attack, a move attack, heroic attack. So it's kind of a little all over the place, which is not very well balanced. His double wilds. Then he has Master Martial Artist. On this turn, treat an attack on the previous hero card as a double attack. So this only works if the previous card had a double attack. So you might not be able to even use that ability depending on what came before it. He has a meditation. You can't be given crisis tokens until the beginning of your next turn. Investigation. Look at the top card of your master plan deck, you may put it at the bottom. So it's much like Batman's, right? That's what I love about what they did in some of these. Is they have in the grand scheme of the United series is they have some guys have an ability and then some have a better version. So like he has master martial arts. There are other cards that have martial artists, which is just gonna give might just giving additional attack, right? Or might give a token or do something a little bit less. And this is investigation. He can look at the top card and put it back. Where Batman had detective skills, which is the same thing, but he can do it whenever he wants. So he doesn't have to wait to play his card. He can do it later on. So it's pretty cool. Then he has 2 tactical analysis, which have the same symbol on the bottom. They don't always. Read the top card of the master plan deck. If it will add more civilians than thugs, gain 1 heroic, or add more thugs than civilians, gain an attack. Otherwise, gain a move in case it doesn't do either. That's kind of neat too, because it'll work with the other card, or with Batman, you could kind of manipulate the deck a little bit. So that's pretty fun. Alright, then he has his equipment. He also gets a batarang, which is the same as Batman's. On your turn, attack in adjacent location, and then turn face down. Beginning your turn, discard 1 action token and turn this space up. He gets his staff though. On your turn, move, so you gotta like drive in the ground and leap, or defeat 1 thug your location. Discard an action token. And then he has his motorcycle. On your turn, move, then turn the space down. But it unfortunately has a broken thing. It's exhausted. Remove this card from the game. So it just gives you a one-time extra movement bonus. But that's still not a bad thing necessarily. Just, hey, I really need to get 1 extra space this one time. There you go. Alright, so for our third hero, we have the Huntress. Helena... Is it... I want to say it's an Italian name. I want to say it's like Buscellini, but I might be very wrong on that. It might not even be, I'm probably saying Helena, it might be pronounced Helena as well. I might even be saying her name wrong. Yeah, we get the Huntress real cool. Again, she's exclusive to this box. If you want to play as her, you have to buy this core set. And again, any expansion is going to have exclusive characters, so that's not crazy. Yeah, there she is running across the rooftop. So she, of course, came from a crime family, and she's trying to, like, hunt down criminals and stuff, so, she gets her, she has her crossbow, which is really cool. She has a moving attack, moving heroic, a double attack, so she's going to have less heroic options. She's not going to be about saving civilians. She's trying to take out threats. Wild, double wild. Then she has espionage. With the top card of any deck, you may put it at the bottom. So this is kind of neat, because we have the other 2, Batman and Robin, which can look at the Master Plan deck. She can look at that as well. But she can also look at any other character's deck and be like, hey, someone's like, I really need to draw an attack card next turn to defeat this guy. She can look at your deck and be like, it's not an attack card, let me get rid of it, maybe your next one will help you. So that's pretty cool. She has a second one of that said with move on the bottom, and a third one with heroic. So you can see how Batman and Robin, though, and I kind of want to point this out, it's one semi-downside the way United is. There are some characters you can see they put a little bit more, I want to say love or depth into. Because each of them guys had a couple different cards, all their different things, did different stuff. Hers, she plays more like a Season 1, almost Marvel character. Where before they started really like diving in super far into everybody. Just 3 cards that are basically the same thing. And they have different symbols on the bottom. And then she gets 2 more, which are motivated by vengeance, which do the same thing, but they have a different thing on the bottom. So it's not saying that they're bad character or bad designs. She doesn't feel as unique as the other 2. But on the other hand, being that she has 2 cards of one and 3 of the other, you know you're going to have those effects all the time when you need them. Versus, I will point out, Batman, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different cards instead of her having 5. He has 6 different cards that all do different things. So you're not going to be able to guarantee to get that effect when you need it. So it's kind of a double-edged sword there. Do you want a character that's more consistent or has more variety? Again, not necessarily bad, but Interesting. So Motivated by Vengeance says, if you defeat 2 or more thugs or henchmen in this turn, at the end of the turn you may gain 1 heroic or 1 attack token. So that's kind of cool. So if you can manage to take somebody out, obviously if she has a move that can help her get closer to a guy, this one can help her do the extra damage. Very cool. And then she's going to get some equipment cards as well. She has only 2 of them. On your turn, so the crossbow, on your turn, attack in the opposite location or location adjacent to that, then turn the space down. So where the batarangs can only attack to the next space, she gets attacked across the board, which can be helpful. And then to recharge at the beginning of your turn, discard a heroic or wild token. So where again, the batarangs they can't attack as far, but they can refresh off of any. She has specific tokens. And then she also has a motorcycle. So on your turn, use this to move, and then it runs out of gas. Alright, our 4th hero of the game is Catwoman, Selena Kyle. So this is a goggled version of her. So there is a version in one of the other sets that will be a dual identity. So now when she's a villain, it can be playable as a villain and a hero. I like this look. The goggle look is pretty cool. So what is she? So this is her starting hand card. Let's just look at that really quick. What does she just start with? She has Stealth Masters. It says you can redirect damage you would take and tokens you're given to other heroes in your location. So this is kind of neat. So she has the option to basically be like, I'm invisible. You can't see me. And that means tokens have to go to somebody else or damage has to go somewhere else. That's kind of a neat thing. And she'll have this out. So it starts in your hand. Obviously, it's one of the things where you probably want to play this first, because that way you have it active for every other turn. So at least you have the option of using it. But you might not because of the symbols. You might not because maybe you know the villain has cards that like slowly start turning cards face down, starting from the oldest card because you're trying to shut off your static powers. Like this, or some characters have healing abilities or invulnerabilities for less damage. So you might decide to maybe wait and play this like turn 3, just so that way, then it's more beneficial for the things on the bottom, or so that way it doesn't get turned over right away. But she has an attack card, a move attack, move heroic attack, wild, double wild. She gets a lot of wilds in here. So she's kind of interesting because she's going to be able to do kind of whatever she wants to do. She has Master of Disguise. On any villain turn, flip this to ignore damage equal to the number of civilians in your location. So she can basically hide among civilians. She has Martial Artist. On your turn, treat 1 attack on the previous hero card as a double attack. But he only gets 1 normal attack. So if we kind of want to look there, again, I kind of pointed out, he had Master. So it's the same effect on there, but the bottom is just the move as well. So he gets an additional effect for having the Master version. So kind of cool. And then she also has Master Thief. Take 1 equipment owned by another hero in your location. They gain 1 hero token. Or, if you're on location with a thug, gain 1 attack token. Then steal someone's equipment, and then either I can give them a token, or I think it's supposed to be, it's kind of worded, take equipment from another player in another location. I said, then they gain a token. Or I think, if I don't want to take their equipment, if I'm on location as a villain, I can just gain a attack token. And then the last one is Stunning Deception. Attach a stun token to a villain or henchman in your location, which shuts off their BAM ability. So that's actually pretty cool as well. That's a very powerful effect. Alright, then we have her equipment. So she is going to start with her whip. It says, use on your turn. Attacking adjacent location, or move 1 thug or civilian from a location to your location, turn the space down. So like a battering mixed with the grappling hook, which is kind of neat. Beginning your turn, discard action token and turn space up. And then Goggles. On your turn, use this. You may ignore locations permanent and end of turn effects that would affect you. Then turn the space down. So it's kind of neat if you want to avoid some bad stuff. And then recharge at your turn. If you played a hero card with no movement at the bottom, turn this face up. Awesome. Alright, then let's take a look at our last hero. So he's actually a dual identity hero. So this is spoilers for the storyline, I guess, but oops, we didn't want to look at that one. We wanted to look at this one. Same thing, different background, because a hero deck versus a villain deck. So we have Superman, but he's controlled by Poison Ivy. So he's a purple character, because he's a dual identity, which is really neat. It's a neat way to you should get to play against Superman at some point. Got like the vines around him, which are really cool. Nice scowl. Whoops. So he does have a starting hand card. Which says, let's see what that does. It says invulnerability. You may ignore 1 damage during each villain turn. If you do, you may attack your location. So yeah, kind of cool. He gets to start off a little bit stronger than everybody else. Has a wild icon to start with. His other cards, he has a move attack, double attack, move heroic attack. So there's a lot more attack options than everything else. A wild, and a double wild. And then he gets 2 Kryptonian physiology cards, gain 1 wild token. So Superman, he can do everything. He can fly, he can attack, he can be heroic, he can do whatever he needs to be doing. He has heat vision. During any of your turns, flip this card to double attack, split his leg against in your and adjacent locations. So he can punch and shoot around. And then his last one he actually has is a bad one. So it has a black border, so it's negative. Under Poison Ivy's control, if this card is in your hand, you must play it. Each time you perform an attack this turn, deal 1 damage to another hero in your and each adjacent location. So hopefully this comes up late in the game. But if this comes up early, you're going to have to sit there and constantly contend with Superman punching in one of the locations next to you and hurting you. So it's going to make him a lot more dangerous. But that's kind of the whole thing. He's Superman. They had to give him something to make him a little bit more down to earth. Alright, and then kind of to go with him, it's not a direct equipment for him, but it's used by any Batman. So again, I wouldn't argue why you couldn't use it with any hero. Kryptonite Ring. Once on your turn, if a Kryptonian villain or henchman is in a location, you may attack against them. During your turn, you may forfeit 1 action and give this card to a number of your non-Kryptonian heroes, and yours are an adjacent one. So you can pass this around. Now, I only mention this because this is, again, against Superman. Doesn't really do anything if he's a hero, but goes against the villain version. On the flip side, if this card is turned face down by an effect, remove it from the game. So this was always just an active effect. It's always out, so permanent. So yeah, you can always do, if any hero case, you may damage 1 against them. So you can always do damage against them to start taking them down a little bit. It's really cool. Alright, then the last thing we have to look at for equipment is we want to look at the generic equipment. So we have some mini mines. These are usable by anybody. And since you can have 3 equipment, I don't see why you couldn't add one of these into like Catwoman or Huntress, or mix or match with the other characters if you want one of these versus one of their other ones. Using our turn up, there are no civilians in your location. Place this card face down at your location. So that's kind of cool. So you are no civilians, you place this face down, and then it says, during your next villain turn after villain's movement, remove this card from the game. Deal 1 damage to everything in its location and discard all civilians there. So it's kind of a neat little mechanic. We have the smoke pellets used on your turn if there are no thugs in your location. Place this face down. And it says, during your next villain turn, heroes in your location ignore the first damage they would take. At the end of the villain's turn, remove this. Flashbang, using on your turn, attach a stun token to a henchman at your location. Turn this face down. So if you have a lot of BAM characters, you can just add this to somebody. I think all the rest of the watches are going to have the exhausted. Remove them from the game. They're one-time use items. We have the flare. Using on your turn, if there are no villains in your location, place this card face down. During the next villain turn, after villain's movement, remove this card from the game, and another hero may immediately move to this location. A body armor, used on a villain's turn, ignore 1 damage you would take, and then turn this face down, and it's removed from the game. The comm link, used on your turn if there are no other heroes in your location. Do a heroic, then turn this face down. And then exhaust, and we have 1 used on your turn to get a movement from the airlift. And it's exhaust, it's giving everyone a motorcycle essentially. And then makeshift weapon, beating someone with a straight line. To be 1 thug your location. And then exhausted. So yeah, so some of them like a free movement or a free heroic potentially or a free attack. Again, if you don't have any equipment cards, like Superman didn't have any equipment cards, or again using Catwoman or Huntress if you want to give them the 3rd one, or again, maybe you can just swap it. Maybe you don't want the movement for the motorcycles, you'd rather have an extra attack. You could give it to like Robin or Huntress instead of one of those. So those are all of our heroes. Now let's take a look at our villains. Alright, so we went through all of the heroes, now we're going to go through the villains. There are 3 villains, because Joker and Harley Quinn are 1 villain together. Let's start with Superman. 1, because we've already looked at his miniature, and 2, because this is one of the rulebook recommends you start with. So what do we have on here? We have a couple of things on here for special setup. It says, a non-Kryptonian hero must be chosen. Choose the Kryptonian ring as one of their equipment cards. If Batman has played it, must be him. So at least they kind of subvert that rule, because the equipment card itself does say it's a Batman only card, which says that anyone can add it to anybody. But I also have to have non-Kryptonian hero. So that means if we have I think the only other ones would be Superboy and Supergirl. Unless they decide to eventually add like crypto into the game. Or if we end up getting something else like that. But, you know, again, if you want to have, like, a Superman versus another Superman, that's also there, too. Also says, Kane's chemicals must be the villain's starting location, and place the Poison Ivy token there. So we'll get a little token here for Ivy. Now, if you buy the other expansion stuff, you might have the Ivy miniature. You could, definitely throw that out and use that instead. Place the starting master plan card at the top of the deck. So he gets a starting master plan card, kind of like the heroes do. Just kind of sets everything up for the game. And then if you're playing with the super villain, so if one person wants to play as that, those are the heroes tokens you just start with. So what does Superman do for us? First of all, if we look down here, he has either 7, 8, or 9 health, depending on how many players you have. What is their special rules? Superman can only be damaged by a hero in his location who has a Kryptonian ring equipment card. On KO, bam. So if he KOs someone, he bams. And then he can only be damaged by a Kryptonian ring. And that card, it also said you can pass it around to other players. And then he has his BAM effect is deal 2 damage to 1 hero in Superman's location. Move the Poison Ivy token clockwise 1 location. Then the little alarm with the caution tape is for when you're under pressure. So I really start going from 3 turns to 2 turns. Instead, deal 3 damage to 1 hero at Superman's location. Move Poison Ivy clockwise 1 location unless there are 2 or more heroes in the destination location. So this is very interesting because doing 2 damage every turn, you only get 3 cards in your hand at the start of your turn. And you only draw at the beginning of your turn. So if, like, you play a card on your turn and then the villain gets to act before you get to go again, you're only down to 2 cards in your hand. That's basic, unless you have some other way of drawing cards. That's your health. If he has 3, that means he can take you out even if you have a full hand of cards. So Superman, right? Superman's controlled and he punches you, you're probably going to get knocked out, if not die. And then the fact is that it does stop her if there's more than 2 heroes. You can kind of plan on that, but then you also have to watch out where Superman is. If you have the overflow, Poison Ivy token is in the overflow location, or an adjacent one, move it clockwise to the next location. So she's going to keep trying to move around the board. Heroes use a Poison Ivy token return to the Kane chemical location. So the whole point of this is to defeat Superman before Poison Ivy can get back to Kane chemical. She has to make 1 lap around the board. Now she only moves if Superman bams. And then when it comes under pressure. So the quicker you can get him under pressure by completing one of the things, you can at least stop her by having heroes in the way. So the longer you take to do that, so the quicker you can get that, you can maybe stop her, hopefully, like maybe on turn 2 or 3, you have to really just team up on one spot. But as of there's no way to, like, currently, as the way this says, there's no way to, like, push her back or reset her, so she just has to make her on the board one time, so it's pretty crazy. Alright, what does Superman's deck look like? So here's his deck of cards. He gets a blue back, just as opposed to the green one from the hero. Same artwork, but I like when they do the heroes, villains, they do different backs, so you can kind of tell them apart a little bit quicker. Actually, before we look at this card, we have his starting card. So it has like a green border on it, and it says he gets to move 3 spaces, bam, falling under Ivy's control. Accelerate the next villain turn by 1. Oh boy, that's your starting card. So if this is your, if you're playing regular mode, that'll be the first card that'll come out. If you're playing as a supervillain, you might not have to use this right away. He does also have a special. He has Bam with a up, and away. So if he's under pressure, hero moves to the location opposite of the hero to Kryptonian ring. So instead of kind of protecting Ivy, he's going to run away from whoever has the ring. So that could kind of help you as well. If you have the ring, to an extent, because if you have the ring, like, if one of the 2 people in front of Ivy, she can't move every turn. But Superman's also going to be across the board, and you can't beat him that way. So a little bit interesting, unless you have range heroes. He has a Heat Vision card. I'm not going to read all the moves and all that stuff. You can see those. Deal 2 damage to 1 hero in a location adjacent to Superman, or in the Superman's opposite location. So yeah, here's going to just shoot all the way across the board. He has another Heat Vision. Controlling Minds. Add 1 thug to Poison Ivy token's location, and to both locations adjacent to that. Trying to push that overflow so that Ivy moves. We have another one of those. Another one of those. Another one of those. So yeah, here's going to be a thing. If he does damage, or if he gets a Bam, which every single one of his cards has done Bam, so that means every single turn, she's going to get a move 1 space, unless you can get him under pressure and block her. But then she overflows, she still gets to move regardless. So yeah, then she's going to want to, and this is going to keep adding more guys to locations. So now you can't just stop in front of her and just hold off. You have to keep defeating everything else. And then he just has 3 general cards. A 0, a 1, and a 5 movement. We had 1 more Bam. Sorry, or 1 more card. We had another up, and away. So that's his deck of cards. Then we have his threats, which will take over the rest of the board. And they are, all 6 of them are Poison Ivy's control. Same exact thing. It says, when the star is cleared, move Poison Ivy counterclockwise 1 direction. So that is how you keep her from getting there. So you have 6 chances to move her back. So presumably, that means if you never overflow a location and Superman just plays his regular cards, he's going to play 6 of them to move him forward, which would win her the game. You can play 6 to move him back. So that's 12 turns. So at turn 13, the game is over. So it basically puts a 13 time limit on there, assuming nothing else changes. Now, again, you can put him under pressure. You can put Poison Ivy off a couple of turns. Until you can start defeating Superman. There's always a possibility. Alright, then let's look at the title hero of the title villain, Hush. So we have the enigmatic Hush. And I'm not going to, usually I talk about like who each character is and stuff. I'm not going to get into too much detail. I don't want to spoil the story for anyone that hasn't read it. But suffice to say, this is a mysterious character, and the whole point of it was a mystery is it could have been one of multiple different people. And it was, so Batman didn't know who it was, but he's just like, oh, it could be one of these many different people. And there actually is threat cards, are who they are. So it was like, oh, Batman had to try and discern who it was. I think one of the more iconic ones, and this is a slight spoiler, is that at one point they revealed he took off like his robe mask, or someone took off the bandages, and it was Jason Todd, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, Jason Todd, the second Robin's back, and then ending up being a false thing for that. Although now we found out recent history, Jason Todd is back, so like, kind of like, yeah, if you knew, like, you read comic books now and you're reading this storyline, I feel like, and you're like, oh my god, like, Jason Todd, that must have been the time he returned. It might not have been as much of a shock because he's been around for so long now in current history, like Red Hood and stuff. But back in the day, this was like, no, that was the rule in comic books. Like, you did not bring back, Robin, and you did not bring back Uncle Ben. And then they brought back Robin. Alright, so what's Hush's special step? One of the heroes in this game must be Batman. Doesn't matter which Batman. Now, can you violate this rule? I'm sure you probably can. We'll see through the cards if there's anything else. If it does just anything that says Batman would have to be represented as that specific hero. So let's say if you just want, I want to play as a different detective, play as an elongated man, or I'm going to play as Mr. Terrific. I'm not even sure if either of those are in the game. But, like, you could argue that instead, but that's up to you. It says shuffle the Hush Plan cards, so he has a Hush Plan deck. Set aside both bottom of the deck cards. Place a random one at the bottom of the deck and return the other box without looking at it, so we don't know which our final mission is. The Clear Threat mission card is not used in this game. Instead, place the Hush Plan deck in its place, reveal the top of its card. Push the 6 Hush Plan cards in the form the Hunt Plan mission. So instead of trying to clear threats around the board, and then get that reward, you're trying to complete the Hush deck. Or Hush Plan deck. So it's kind of cool. Alright, so he has 2, 3, or 4 hit points. Like, Superman have up to, 9 hit points? Yeah, so he's going to be a lot harder to take out. This guy's kind of weak in comparison, but that doesn't mean he's going to be any easier to beat. Hush can't be damaged until all 3 missions have been complete, because right there. Because you have to go twice as long before you can beat him. When a Hush Plan card is completed, discard it and reveal the next one. Discarding the last Hush card counts as completing the Hush Plan mission. Heroes can't affect Hush Plan deck by any means. So this means if it has a card that says, you can look at the top of the card, put it on the bottom, you can't do that with this deck. Kale removed the top Master Plan card from the game. So he wants to accelerate the Master Plan to win quicker. Overflow removed the top Master Plan card of the game. And bam. Until the next villain's turn, when a henchman is defeated, if Hush is in its location or adjacent to it, remove the top Master Plan from the game. So you gotta really watch when you're taking out henchmen. Not thugs, just henchmen, because otherwise he's gonna keep advancing the game. So let's see what his deck does. He has, when he's under pressure, he gets Deception. Until the next villain's turn, Hush redirects the first damage he would take it to a thug in his location, if any. Looks like we got a second one of those, just at different movement speeds. We have, I think we have a bunch of those. I think that's most of his deck. So let's see, we have 2 of them. We have a 3rd one, a 4th one, a 5th one, 6th one, 7th one, and an 8th one. So he's got 8 Deceptions, all at different speeds, or different movements, different play stuff. But the idea is he's gonna, deceive you. You're gonna attack the villain instead of, the thug instead of him. And then he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the other half of his deck is watching Batman at various movements and thug civilian placement. It says, until the next villain turn, if any henchmen are defeated by Batman, remove the top Master Plan card from the game. So again, this is where it says Batman, but you could technically have it be anybody else. Again, if you say it's, you want to say instead of playing as Batman, I'm going to say it's, whatever. I want to play as Robin. Just change every instance to Batman in here into Robin. Very, very simple. And then he's got his threat cards, which are going to be Killer Croc. So when he bams, he does 2 damage to 1 hero in his location. Poison Ivy, who's going to have variable health. Each hero with any crisis token must discard 2 cards from their hand and discard all their crisis tokens. Then give 1 crisis token to 1 hero in this or an adjacent location. The Joker. If possible, move the Joker clockwise to the next location without threats and no heroes. Clayface. If the villain is not in this organization location, add one hero or thug. Civilian or thug. Clayface can't be damaged as long as there are any in this location. Harley Quinn. Deal 1 damage to each hero in this location. Hero starting turn at this location can't damage Harley Quinn, so they have to move around and catch her again. And then the Riddler. Heroes starting their turn in this location must forfeit 1 available action during their turn. So interesting. It's kind of like confusing them. So yes, we got a bunch of villains. Neat. We had Superman, which is all like just hero-like actions to do stuff. Here we have just villains you have to fight against. But then we have his Hush Plan deck. So this is how we're going to have to defeat stuff. So Hush Plan is misdirection. Defeat Killer Crocs. Instead of the threats normally being just defeat each character, here you have to do these in a specific order. And reveal the top cards. Yeah, so this is the first one. Now you have to run specifically defeat Killer Croc first. As long as this card is in play, other henchmen can't be defeated. They can't be dealt glass damage. Now, this doesn't mean you can't go around damaging them. You could knock every single one of them down to 1 HP, and then when you draw their card, just run over and love tap them. Then we have defeat Poison Ivy, defeat Harley Quinn, defeat the Joker, defeat Clayface. So there's 6 of them there instead of the normal 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's only 5 of them. Am I missing a 1, 2, 4, 5, 6? Who did not get a card? Oh, the Riddler. So yeah, we have 5 of them. So normally to beat the threats, you have to defeat 4 of the threats, which if they're all villains. So this just gives you 1 more you have to defeat. And then you get 2 different things. The villain behind it all. Catch him if you can, and the villain behind them all, riddle me that. So if we get this one, it says defeat the Riddler. Riddler can't be damaged. Place the villain tracker on the starting space of this track. Oh, okay, cool. So that's what our little yellow block is for. Heroes can spend 1 heroic in the Riddler's location to advance the tracker 1 space. Riddler is defeated when the tracker reaches the rightmost space. You have to spell who by paying 4 things. Otherwise, we could get defeat the Riddler, move the Riddler clockwise to the next location with no heroes. Only heroes in a location can damage him. So it's 2 different ways to have to beat the Riddler. And then after that, then you can start damaging Hush. Because basically it'll be like, hey, you defeated, you've taken out each other villain, you found out they're not Hush, and then now you're like, okay, now we know who Hush is, and we have to go fight him. So very cool. Alright, then we have our last villain, which is the Joker and Harley Quinn. Special setup starting, master plan at the top of the deck, place the kidnapping card in the reach of players. The Joker and Harley Quinn start in the same location. Now, they have a little bit different deck than everybody else. So I love this as a starting setup, because it gets a unique concept for something like this. So we have Joker here and his Ace Chemical Vac. Old school, like, classic animated Joker. Mark Hamill Joker, definitely. And then we have good old Harley Quinzel with her, again, her animated costume that she's knocking up this puff of smoke that she's hitting with her giant mallet. So, what do these guys do? Alright. So, Joker has 3 health, Harley has 3 health. Doesn't matter how many players. Special rules in the middle here. It says, when resolving master plan cards, first apply the Joker's movement and bam, then Harley's. Civilian thugs are added to the, referring to the Harley Quinn's location, so she's doling out people. When the Joker and Harley Quinn are defeated, they remain in play and act normally. Heroes only win once both are defeated. On a KO, when they KO a hero, draw a master plan and add it here face down in this. Add it face down in the storyline, then turn the earliest face down Joker Master Plan card in the storyline face up. If it has any special effects, resolve it. Interesting. So when you draw a Master Plan card and add it face down, then turn the early one up. So every time you KO someone, they get access to a special ability from earlier. Joker's BAM is in the Joker's and each adjacent location move one civilian there to the kidnapping card. 3 heroes there are 3 or more cards in hand must discard 1 random card from their hand. Overflow, draw a master plan card and add it to the storyline face down. This is a way to put other ones in there before that KO effect. Harley Quinn's BAM is if the Joker is not in Harley Quinn or an adjacent location, accelerate the villain's turn by 1. So if she's kind of spread away from them, which could happen because they move at different speeds. If it's under pressure, it says instead move Harley clockwise to the next location with any heroes and deal 2 damage to 1 hero there. Interesting. So at the beginning, she's going to keep accelerating the turn, but once you get it down to 2, then she just starts doing extra damage. Very interesting. Alright, so we have this kidnapping card. So this is kidnapping right there. Each time there are 3 or more civilians here, discard 3 of these tokens, then draw a master plan card, add it face down to the story. So they're going to accelerate the game by adding more master plan cards to the deck. Faster and faster, which is just going to speed up their victory overall. And then what do we have here? So they have a couple of things. They have their starting master plan card, then they also have a bunch of cards called jokes, and then they have regular cards. So let's look at their starting master plan. This should be their first one. Escape. So Joker moves 3 spaces, Harley doesn't move, and then they BAM. Escape, add 1 thug to every location. Alright, so we're going to look at the regular cards first. The ones that didn't have joke on them. And they're going to have the same thing. You're always going to have both movements. The criminal. If there are 4 or more thugs in play, draw a master plan, add it face down to the storyline. And they don't need another special thing to win, because that's all they need to do is empty their deck, right? And then they have the clown. If there are 1 or more heroes in a Joker or adjacent location, draw a master plan card, add it face down. And the same thing for that. We have the comedian. Each hero must discard 1 card from their hand. And a second version, but with different stuff on there. Distraction. So I should get 3 of those with slightly different numbers on them. Accelerate next villain turn by 1. If Harley Quinn has at least 1 health, the Joker can't be damaged by the hero's next turn. Then we have the jokes. So we have, you're too serious. If the Joker is in the same location as Batman or in an adjacent one, draw a master plan card and add it face down to the storyline. So this one doesn't specify we have to play as Batman, so it's interesting. So otherwise it'd be kind of useless. Draw a master plan. But then I think they're kind of setting this up assuming you're playing with this group of characters. They have a permanent, what doesn't kill you. If the Joker be defeated, he immediately recovers 2 health, then turn this card face down. Uncivilized people. Each location with 2 or more civilians deal 1 damage to each hero, and then move 1 there to the kidnapping card. Your toys won't help you. Each hero must turn 1 of their face-up equipment face down or discard 1 action token. Isn't it depressing to be so alone? Each hero alone in their location must either discard 1 card from their hand or add 1 thug to their location. 1 bad day. Flip 1 civilian in each location, then each location with 2 or more thugs, deal 1 damage to each hero there. The healing power of laughter. If Joker and Harley Quinn have at least 1 health each, they recover 1 health each. They can't go above starting value. And then the last one is, do I look like I'm joking? Discard all the thugs in the Joker's location, accelerate the next villain's turn by 1, unless it's already accelerated. So their whole thing is they're going to keep playing these cards face down every time it gets overflowed, or if they KO someone, they're going to flip 1 face down, and then, or if they get enough things kidnapped, they place a card face down, which again accelerates their master plan, runs out cards quicker, but then you have that chance of if they can KO something, also now they can trigger another crazy effect that could re-happen, which could mess up more stuff. So that's pretty cool. Alright, then we have their event cards, threats. I don't know why they had to refer to them as jokes versus non-jokes, because they do the exact same thing as everything else, basically, but we have punchline here. So they get 1 health per player plus 1. She has BAM, deal 2 damage to 1 hero in this rotation. If there are no heroes here, add 1 thug to this rotation. And then the last 5 cards are Master of Disguise. So it's kind of a mixture between the two. Villains can't be damaged at this location if there are any thugs or civilians here. So you have to either clear out everything, or you have to do the heroic thing to get rid of these. So very interesting. Now, do I want to say one of these is necessarily harder than the other? Not really. I think Superman might be a little easier because you don't have any villains that have to worry about attacking you. But it's not, definitely doesn't mean it's going to be easy necessarily. Alright, so let's take a look at some locations. I have to zoom back out here. So here's our locations for the game. We have Bristol Township. It starts with 2 civilians. If everything is empty at the end of the turn, if there are 2 or more civilians here, you may gain 1 move or hero token. Otherwise, you may add 1 civilian. We have the Roxbury Fielding Academy. If at the end of the turn there is another hero in this location, 1 hero may gain a hero token. We have the Spiral Headquarters. In the turn, you may discard either discard 1 card to either recharge, turn face up one of your equipment, or gain 1 token. Wild token. St. Hardering's finishing school for girls. If there's another hero at this location, the hero may gain 1 attack token. The Amusement Mile. Joker's Hideout. You may reveal the bottom card of the Master Plan deck. If the villain's movement is even, delay the next villain turn by 1. In any case, place the card face down in the storyline. Chain Chemicals. At the end of your turn, now this is a forced one because it's in black, so if this gets revealed, this happens if you are on here regardless. You may gain 1 move token. You must play your next hero card randomly. We have Sicily. End of the turn, if there are more thugs than civilians, you must discard 1 action token if possible. Otherwise, you may draw 1 card and add 1 thug here. And then the last one is the Monarch Theater, which has an end of the turn, so if you sing any Batman theme aloud, you may gain a heroic or an attack card or token. But it has a specific one. It says Batman must bring an additional move to enter this location when using move actions during this turn. Harder for him to get into that area. So yeah, very cool. She has a couple different ones. You might be like, but where are all the iconic stuff? Like, where's the Batcave? Where's Wayne Manor? Where's Gotham PD? Those are all going to be in the Gotham City expansion. That's why they're not in here. They actually have one that's, there's like a couple more Batman eccentric ones. There's also an Arkham Asylum expansion. So that's why those aren't in this set. Alright, so the last 2 things we want to look at are stuff for supervillain mode and solo mode. For supervillain mode, again, this is if one player wants to take a role as a supervillain, they go back and watch the video, you can see what they talk about it. But basically, they get to start with a couple of the Master Plan cards in their hand, and they get to choose which one gives them a more strategic value. But they also get a couple of these supervillain cards. There are 12, you get 3 of them. Gives you some other options to do in the game. So let's see what all of those are. So we have Superior Strategist. So it triggers, during a villain's turn, you're about to play a Master Plan and you're under pressure. So there's specific times you can play it. Effect, remove a Master Plan card in hand from the game and play these as a Master Plan. So instead, you can move 0, 2, or 4, bam, and then place those. So yeah, if you're about to play when you're under pressure, which is going to happen very often, or eventually, you can then, yeah, I want to do this instead. It might be helpful. We have Backup Plan. Same thing if you're under pressure. Move a Master Plan, you can play one of these instead. 1, 3, or 5 with no BAM. We have Obstructing Minions at the start of the game after setup. Attach this card to the clear threats, defeat thugs, or arrest a civilian mission. Each card may have 1 card attack. To complete that mission, heroes must also spend 2 attack in the same turn, which is why that little link between them. To place a pair of tokens on this card, they can go even if the mission is not yet filled with its corresponding tokens. So cool. So you have minions blocking your thing you have to do. We have extra effort, same thing, but you have to do 2 heroic. And we have mobile targets, same thing, but for mobile. This is kind of neat. It makes, to beat that threat, you then have to do an extra little step to do it. It's kind of cool. Oppressive responsibilities. At the end of a hero's turn, and you are under pressure. Turn the last face-up hero card on the starting face down. So this will stop them from sharing their effects. Symbols. Vectoring thugs. End of the villain phase. Place 1 crisis token on 3 different thugs in any location. Heroes need 1 additional damage to defeat these thugs. When the thugs are defeated, or flip, discard a crisis token on them. Neat. So we do have, there have been threat cards that up their damage, or up their health. This is just an extra one that ups it right away, or whenever you want. Your job isn't finished yet. At the end of the hero's turn, defeat thugs, or arrest a civilian mission has not been completed. Discard either 2 thugs or 2 civilians from the corresponding card. So hey, they're almost getting there, you can make it even harder. Back for more. End of the hero's turn. All heroes are in location with no threats. Bring 1 clear threat from your choice back into play without a threat on it. Counter moves. At the end of the hero's turn, any hero has 2 or more actions or 4 or more cards in hand. Choose. That hero discards all their action tokens or you gain 2 health. Detour. You may play a master plan. Change your movement number of your choice from 0 to 6. And then the last one is Crisis is Not Over. You played your master card, place a crisis token on any location, or give a crisis token to a hero or of your choice. Till the next villain turn. Heroes with their turn, any crisis tokens cannot use their equipment cards. And this could be interesting because this could be one of these things that would work well with other certain villains you might fight. Some of them might gain bonuses for having more crisis tokens out or do something if they have them out. This could just be another way for you to play one of those. And then we have some cards for the heroes. So the heroes get some cards to choose from too. And they have the same idea. They'll have a trigger effect. Strong willpower. A game effect forces you or another hero to randomly play it or turn a card in the face down. Ignore the effect. Comeback is coming. During a villain's turn, you are KO'd. Gain action tokens matching the symbols at the bottom of one of the cards you discard to the bottom of your deck. Last chance. Trigger a end of the villain's turn. The master plan deck is empty. So end of the game. So they haven't yet drawn, so they haven't won till the beginning of their next turn. Well, because they're playing this, as their deck is empty, they still play until their hand is empty, so they could have another 2 cards left in their hand. Gain 1 move and 1 attack token. Shake it off during a villain's turn, you're about to take damage. Ignore 1 damage, you may discard 1 action token to ignore 2 instead. Heroic sacrifice. During a villain's turn, another hero is about to take damage, you take the damage instead and gain a heroic action. Crowd control. During a villain's turn, overflow is triggered or in your or another location. Cancel the overflow effect in your location, or you may discard 1 action token to cancel it in another location. Adrenaline Blast. At the end of the villain's turn, you have taken damage but have not been KO'd. Rescue 1 civilian and defeat 1 thug. Moment of Rest. Trigger. At the end of the villain turn, if there are no thugs, civilians in this location, draw 1 card, you may discard 1 action token and draw 2 instead. Being Prepared. The villain ends your movement in your location. Gain 1 wild token. Remote Intervention. During your turn, the adjacent location has no empty slots. It's about to overflow. Rescue a civilian or defeat a thug. Standing in the Crisis. At the end of the villain turn, discard 1 crisis token from anywhere. You might discard 1 action or discard 2 instead. And lastly, we have Looking for Trouble. At the end of the villain's turn, add any combination of 3 thugs or civilians, splitting them as you like between yours and adjacent locations. So this could help you stack it up if you need to complete them. Maybe you've been cleaning them out and the villains haven't been dropping enough new ones in there quick enough. So these are really fun. Lots of interesting, different stuff in there. Then the last thing we want to look at are, if you're playing Commander Solo, you can get 2 points to spend on your battle plan. So you can either take 2 ones, or you could take a 2-cost one, or you could take 0 if you want, really. So let's see what these do. These just kind of help you out playing solo mode. And in solo mode, again, you play your hero, like say pick Batman, and then you take 3 cards, or 4 cards from 3 other heroes to make another 12-card deck. So you're going to take Superman, Huntress, and Catwoman. You're going to make another deck. And then you have options of either on your turn playing cards from your deck, or your hand, or playing one of the revealed cards from them. And they can kind of help you out. Might not always be what you want, but it at least gives you a couple different options as if there's 2 other players playing the game. And this lets you play solo without having to play dual-handed, which I know some people don't like to do. They don't like to play as just 2 characters. Heroic Learning. Each supporting hero card, which are the other characters, with any heroic symbols at the bottom, give you an extra heroic action when you played in a storyline. And we have the same thing for Well Armed, but it does it for attacks, quick reactions. Now this one's slightly different. It says, supporting hero with no movement gives you a movement action. Power Restoration. Once during each of your turns, you may discard 2 action tokens to flip a face-down hero card on a storyline face-up. Change of plans. At the end of the villain's turn, you may discard 2 face-up supporting hero cards from the display to the bottom of the deck and replace them with 2 new ones. It gives you some more options. Mutual Support. During each of your turns, you may forfeit 1 heroic to discard 1 crisis token from either your hero or your location. And Better Prepared. When you play a supporting hero card, you can forfeit all its actions and special effects to gain 2 wild tokens instead. For the level 2s, we have High Mobility. When you play a supporting hero, you may move your hero to the opposite location. Let's Talk to the Villain. Whenever you take damage, you may accelerate your next villain turn by 1 to avoid discarding the last card in your hand. Saving a Friend. When you play a supporting hero, you forfeit all action special effects until you have 3 cards in your hand. No Time for Thugs. When you play a supporting hero, anytime during your turn, you may automatically defeat 1 thug in your location. And the last one is Calling for Help. When you play a supporting hero, anytime during your turn, you may automatically rescue 1 civilian. So it kind of gives you bonuses for playing them versus just only playing your own deck. It's very, very cool. Alright, so that is what we have for DC Superheroes United, the Batman Hush set. So, 4 main heroes, 1 dual identity, and then 2 villains, with the dual identity being the 3rd villain. So a lot of different options to play in here, a little bit of stuff. Having the extra equipment is really cool. Having some of the forced bag locations, I think it's a fun thing to do in a starter deck, to kind of just be like, hey, there are some additional threats. And since you only have to play 6 of the 8, there's 2 of them you can always just ignore. And you always have to play with at least 1 bad thing every time. And the one could be the Batman one, and then just don't use Batman, right? That was an option. Or as soon as you buy other sets, you can go ahead and add them in there, mix and match everything else. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff and fun things in there. And then also just again to reiterate is that eventually the rest of the stretch goal crowdfunding stuff will come, which will be the other core set, as well as all the expansion stretch goals, all that fun stuff. So we'll definitely take a look at that when them come. I don't know how long that's going to take. There's been some delays in the campaign. I'm not getting into that in this video, though. And then it's also always compatible with Marvel. So if you already own Marvel and you're really itching for more United, pick this up, and there you go. Or if you really enjoyed this and you want some more, pick up a Marvel set. Mix and match. You could pick up the original core set, which had Avengers, the X-Men core set, which are some of the easier ones to find. Then they had the Year 3, which is the multiverse set, and then they had the Spider-Man core set as well. So you have 4 different starter sets to pick up, plus there's so many different expansions. A couple of them hit retail. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys later. Bye.